Would like to call to order the June 21st, 2022 Little Rock City Board of Directors meeting. We'd like to welcome those in attendance as well as those watching at home or streaming online. Madam Clerk, if you would, please call the roll.
Director Miller. Director Richardson.
Here.
Director Webb.
Here.
Director Peck.
Here.
Director Wright.
Here.
Director Wyrick.
Present.
Director Compuris.
Present.
Director Phillips.
Present.
Director Adcock.
Present.
Vice Mayor Hines.
Present.
Mayor Scott.
Present. We have 3 modifications to tonight's agenda. Director Wright? You're correct. I do apologize. We'll now have City Attorney Tom Carpenter who will do the invocation. Thank you, Director Wright.
Please join me. In our world, we deal with words every day. And we've learned a lot about words, how to make them seem correct even when they're not, how to make them seem forceful because it suits a purpose, how to use them when people need to be comforted, how to use them when people need to be corrected. It's a board and a governing body. The words we use must be the truth and must deal with the best interest of the citizens in the city of Little Rock. Let us seek truth. Amen.
Amen. May y'all please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You doing all right? Director Wright?
Yes. Mayor Scott, regarding Resolution M1, I would like to withdraw that resolution and bring it back at a later date. I feel that we need to focus on our upcoming millage election on August 9th, and I believe it's a distraction. So I am, as the author, I am withdrawing it at this time.
Second.
Thank you so much.
Doesn't need a second. The
Thank you,
proponent
sir.
of the matter can just withdraw it anytime before a vote is taken.
Thank you, Director Wright. Members of the board, we have 2 modifications to tonight's agenda. Item M2, which is a contract for excess workers' compensation insurance. Item 18 is being deferred at the applicant's request until July 19, 2022. So actually only one addition.
And Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Moore.
the applicant on item 28 wishes to withdraw that application.
We have items 18 and 28 that are being withdrawn.
18 is being deferred, 28 is being withdrawn.
Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Vice Mayor Hines.
Mayor, I move that we move M2 to the consent agenda and defer ordinance 18 until July 19th.
Noted.
Need a second.
We have a second for
If there was a motion, I'll second that.
second from Director Richardson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it.
Do we need
Yeah, on item 28, I know the author was able to withdraw, but because this item's on their agenda, wouldn't that take a motion?
Yeah, 28 is a planning ordinance, so they can ask it to be withdrawn, but it will take a motion.
So move.
Motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the consent agenda.
The consent agenda consists of a resolution to set July 19th, 2022 as the date of public hearing on the appeal of the Planning Commission's recommendation of denial for a planned zoning district titled Cozy Spot Rentals Short-Term PDC located at 319 North Summit Street in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, a resolution to set July 12, 2022 as the date of public hearing on the request to abandon the portion of Reichard Street right-of-way between East 8th and 9th Streets, the portion of Fletcher Street right-of-way between East 7th and East 8th Streets, and a portion of the alley right-of-way within Block 5, McLean's Addition in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, a resolution to authorize the use of eminent domain on the Valentine Street Drainage Project and the Briarwood Ditch Phase 2 project in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for their purposes, funding from the 3/8 cent capital improvement sales tax and the limited tax general obligation capital improvement bonds. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Redstone Construction Group in amount not to exceed $2,458,067.60 for the Swaggerty Branch Drainage Rehabilitation Project, and for the purposes, a portion of the funding will be from the 3/8 cent capital improvement sales tax, the limited tax general obligation capital improvement bonds, and the American Rescue Plan Act. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with Hope Lawn Care in amount not to exceed $112,518 for right-of-way mowing and trimming, Phase 1, within the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, a resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with Hope Lawn Care in amount not to exceed $76,986 for right-of-way mowing and trimming, Phase 3, within the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, a resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with FTN Associates LTD in an amount not to exceed $125,000 to provide engineering consulting services for the Little Rock landfill, and for the purposes, a resolution authorizes the mayor and city clerk to execute any documents necessary to purchase real property located at 10,008 Whispering Pine Drive for an amount not to exceed $70,000 with Home Investment Partnership Program funds, and for other purposes, a resolution to authorize the city manager to submit the approved 2022 annual action plan for CDBG home and Hopway entitlement funds to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and for the purposes, a resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into an Interstate corporation contract with the state of Texas through the Texas Department of Information Services, and for the purposes, a resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with Tomco Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $276,225 plus applicable taxes and fees for the purchase of one Model 600X regenerative air sweeper for the Public Works Department Street Operations Division, and for the purposes, a resolution to make a reappointment to the to Central Arkansas Water Board of Commissioners, and for the purposes, a resolution to certify local government endorsement of W&W AFCO Steel LLC to participate in the Arkansas Tax Back Program as authorized by Arkansas Code Section 15-4-2706D of the Consolidated Incentive Act of 2003, and for the purposes, a resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with Travelers Insurance Company in the amount of $1,012,633 for property and casualty insurance for city buildings and structures, and for the purposes, a resolution to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute a special warranty deed conveying real property located on Fraser Pike Road owned by the Little Rock Port Authority, an instrumentality of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, to Terry Woods Incorporated, and for the purposes, a resolution to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Resolution number 15,554 of October 26, 2021, to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute any documents necessary to amend the conveyance of approximately 289 acres of property located at the Port of Little Rock to Trex Company Incorporated for economic development purposes, and for the purposes, a resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Safety National Casualty Corporation for excessive workers' compensation coverage for 1 year effective July 1st, 2022, and for the purposes, that concludes the consent.
Move for the adoption of the consent agenda.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it.
Mayor, just,
Question on that.
You had a question on the consent agenda?
Yes, sir, I did.
I did not see it. Apologize.
The blue hand here that I hit.
Didn't see it. Madam Director Wyrick?
Okay. I was given this document a couple of weeks ago that talks about the streets that are going to be taken care of with mowing and trimming. And there's a list for Ward 1, 2, 7, and 3, couple on 4, and some 5s and 6s. I guess every ward. But there are at least 4 items on the list for Ward 7 that are not Ward 7, they're Ward 2. So the contract on number 6 says it's for Ward 7, and I'm wondering if these streets are tied to this document. And if they are, then that contract would be incorrect for these 4 streets. They would be Ward 2 instead of Ward 7. Bruce, do you need to see it?
If you are referring to item 6, you said,
Yeah, item 6, where it
in the
says,
synopsis, it says wards 1 and 2.
well, down at the bottom, it says located in Ward 7.
That's item.
Resolution 6.
Oh, 6. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm looking at
resolution
5. I see
6.
what you're saying, yeah.
Okay.
I know that we sent both lists, but what we'll do is, this just authorizes into the contract, and when we sit down, we'll make sure all the streets are correct. And
Yeah.
and I don't, John, if you want to add something.
I was worried that maybe the contract was specific enough that it had these streets for Ward 7, and these are not in Ward 7. And I'd like you to pick 4 more streets in Ward 7 for that same contract, is what I'm thinking as well. Anyway, that's where I am with that.
Probably, and I'll have to look to see which streets you're talking about. I don't know if that's when the ward boundaries were changed, and that's why those are showing in the
I
wrong
just got it a
ward.
couple of weeks ago. It says, City of Little Rock Public Works Department, 2022 right-of-way mowing and trimming, Phase 1. And this is, well, it's got Phase 1, and Ward 7 is on Phase 3.
Yes, ma'am. We did 3 separate contracts, and each of those have locations that are to be mowed. So it's those streets that are what we're asking the contractor to mow.
But, okay, he can mow them, but they're not in Ward 7, they're in Ward 2.
Correct. I don't think the designation of Ward 2 or Ward 7 will impact whether or not he's going to mow it under the contract. It's that street that's listed under there, and the extents of that street is what's in the contract.
Well, that's not real clear, but I'm just saying that if that's 4 streets that are in Ward 2, and there's a contract for Ward 7 for $76,986, I want that money spent in Ward 7.
These are streets that were ones that we have maintained in the past, that staff has maintained. We haven't changed the list of what we're maintaining. We're just using a contractor to help us with the list of street right-of-ways that we mow. So there's no difference between our staff and this contractor mowing. It's just allowing us to mow more often with our crews for the streets that we're doing versus the ones we've put into contracts for them to mow, to help us do it more times during the growing season. So there's not more in Ward 7 or less in Ward 7. We're still mowing all the stuff that we've mowed in the past. It's just we're using a contractor to help us do it.
Okay, so you're telling me that the contract for resolution number 6 is not specific enough to tie it to Ward 7 and have 4 streets that are Ward 2 in them?
That's correct.
Mayor, do you agree with that?
Yes.
It's not
Yeah,
regular.
The streets listed are the ones that are going to be mowed.
Director Wyrick, I guess the answer is we put it on consent agenda and went through it, and I believe we discussed some of this last week, so definitely totally in agreement with it.
And you did what? I missed the last part of what you said. I'm sorry.
I'm in agreement with it.
Okay.
We're trying to cut as much as possible, and so we need additional hands to cut in all the wards with the amount of rain we've been having and also with the number of employees.
And I'm happy that we're doing it. I just want to make sure that Ward 7 is covered and not shorted by those 4 streets.
It won't be.
Okay.
Well, and I'm sure if it looks that way, we'll get some communication and feedback and address.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Richardson?
And Ward 2 will work with you to make that a reality. I just, Mayor, real quickly, since we made reference to the CDBG funds in one of these resolutions with respect to our action plan, Bruce, I'm not sure how many people, Mayor, who's watched us on TV or participating virtually are aware that the city of Little Rock, we will be receiving, I think it's called the National John Sasso Award, and it respectfully deals with how we've dealt with the usage, and there's a National Development Association conference. They looked at it. They had a National Development Week, and they looked at it across the country, and we're getting an award. I think Bruce, Kevin is in Minnesota tonight representing the city. I think Kevin is on the board of that Region 6, and Region 6 includes Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, I think, New Mexico, Oklahoma. But Bruce, I'd like for us to, since we so often talk and start out meetings when bad things are happening, would you like to just tell us a little bit about this so people can know that this is a wonderful award. This is something I think we should be proud of, and proud of the leadership of Bruce, the mayor, and Kevin and his staff and the work that's being done. Because quite often, we don't give you guys the credit that you guys are due for the work that you do, and it goes sometimes unrecognized and unfortunately unappreciated. So would you like to just give us an update on that award we're receiving tonight?
Sure, and I did congratulate the CDBG staff, and I don't know if Ms. Dean or somebody is here from CDBG with the actual details, but it is a national award that the CDBG division won, and it's about how we go about our public engagement with our plan and ensuring that not only citizens have access, but they have input. So it was very, very well deserved. And you're right, Mr. Howard is in Minnesota at the National Convention accepting the award.
And it really speaks to how what we've put in place, other communities or municipalities need to try to emulate that to get to the level that we raise the bar. Would you agree? Without not trying to get us to sound too vain, but I just think that far too often we don't really celebrate these things enough. But this really is a really important award, and it puts us above a lot of the municipalities across the country, correct? In terms of our usage of CDBG.
Correct.
And that's with respect to public engagement, community engagement, where we're out there actively involved in the community, working with the community. And I think that's an important conceptual framework for everything that we do, not just this part of the work. But I really want to say that this is great. Bruce, thank you for your leadership and your work and helping us get this award tonight in Minnesota. A national award, guys.
Thank you.
Sorry, Bruce, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Thank you so much, Director Richardson. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the group items. Is your hand still up, Director Warwick?
Well, I'll put it back up. So looking at this list a little bit further, I feel better because under the Ward 5 section, it's got Cooper Orbit Road, which is now Ward 7, and some area on Colonel Glenn Road showing up as Ward 6, which is now Ward 7, so I might have a trade-off.
Yeah, and we'll clean that list up. I think that even though, I mean, as John said, there are certain right-of-ways that we've been cutting for years, and that hadn't changed. It just allows us to do more. So we'll clean and make sure the list gets cleaned up.
Well, do more, I want to be part of the do more, so I think maybe we might have Ward 7 covered. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Warwick. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the group items.
An ordinance to amend the land use plan in the Geyer Springs East Planning District south of Interstate 30 between Scott Hamilton Drive and Doyle Springs Road from light industrial, commercial, suburban office, and residential medium density to residential medium density and mixed use and for other purposes. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned district commercial titled Ellis Short-Term Rental PDC located at 900 West 15th Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, an ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned district commercial titled Elrod Short-Term Rental, PDC, located at 320 North Palm Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, an ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Jennifer Atkins Edition, PRD, located on the north side of R Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, an ordinance to approve a planned zoning development to establish a planned district office titled Arkansas Baptist College Community Health Clinic, PDO, located at 1724 Bishop Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, an ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid and to authorize the city manager to execute a sole source agreement with Locality Media Incorporated in the total amount not to exceed $137,032.50 for records management software for the Little Rock Fire Department and for the purposes, an ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid and to authorize the city manager to enter into a 5-year contract with Priority Dispatch Incorporated in amount not to exceed $616,260 plus applicable taxes and fees for a call handling software system and software maintenance for the Department of Emergency Communications to declare an emergency and for the purposes, an ordinance to dispense with the requirement of competitive selection and to authorize the city manager to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Little Rock School District in a total amount of $75,000 for a 2-year pilot program in order to expand East Lab programming to Mableville Elementary, Stevens Elementary, and Washington Elementary Community Schools as endorsed by the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families and for the purposes, an ordinance to condemn certain structures in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas with structural fire and health hazards, to provide for summary abatement procedures, to direct city staff to take such action as is necessary to raise and remove said structures, to declare an emergency and for the purposes, an ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to ratify an agreement that has been carried out in 2021 to authorize the city manager to extend for an additional 1 year a sole source agreement with City Year Incorporated and the City Year AmeriCorps members in amount not to exceed $100,000 relative to the city's educational initiative for use by the Little Rock School District to declare an emergency and for the purposes. That concludes the consent agenda.
We suspend,
I'm sorry,
we suspend the rules and place on second reading.
first reading.
There's a motion. Do I hear a second? There's a second from Director Wright. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to amend the land use plan in the Geyer Springs East Planning District south of Interstate 30 between Scott Hamilton Drive and Doyle Springs Road from light industrial, commercial, suburban office, and residential medium density to residential medium density and mixed use. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned district commercial titled Ellis Short-Term Rental, PDC, located at 900 West 15th Street. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development, establish a planned district commercial titled Elrod Short-Term Rental, PDC, located at 320 North Palm Street. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned residential district titled Jennifer Atkins Edition, PRD, located on the north side of R Street. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned district office titled Arkansas Baptist College Community Health Clinic, PDO, located at 1724 Bishop Street. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid and to authorize the city manager to execute a sole source agreement with Locality Media Incorporated in the total amount not to exceed $137,032.50 for records management software for the Little Rock Fire Department. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid and to authorize the city manager to enter into a 5-year contract with Priority Dispatch Incorporated in amount not to exceed $616,260 plus applicable taxes and fees for a call handling software system and software maintenance for the Department of Emergency Communications to declare an emergency. An ordinance to dispense with the requirement of competitive selection and to authorize the city manager to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Little Rock School District in a total amount of $75,000 for a 2-year pilot program in order to expand East Lab programming from Mableville Elementary, Stevens Elementary, and Washington Elementary Community Schools as endorsed by the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families. ordinance to condemn certain structures in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas as structural fire and health hazards, to provide for summary abatement procedures, to direct city staff to take such action as necessary to raise and remove said structures, to declare an emergency, an ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to ratify an agreement that was carried out in 2021, to authorize the city manager to extend for one additional year a sole source agreement with City Year Incorporated and the City Year AmeriCorps members in amount not to exceed $100,000 relative to the city's educational initiative for use by the Little Rock School District, to declare emergency. Second reading.
Do we suspend the rules and place on third and final reading?
There a second? There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it, third reading.
An ordinance to amend the land use plan in the Geyer Springs East Planning District south of Interstate 30 between Scott Hamilton Drive and Doyle Springs Road from light industrial, commercial, suburban office, and residential medium density to residential medium density and mixed use. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan district commercial titled Ellis Short-Term Rental PDC located at 900 West 15th Street. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan district commercial titled Elrod Short-Term Rental PDC located at 320 North Palm Street. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development to establish a plan residential district titled Jennifer Atkins Edition PRD located on the north side of R Street. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a plan district office titled Arkansas Baptist College Community Health PDO located at 1724 Bishop Street. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid and to authorize the city manager to execute a sole source agreement with Locality Media Incorporated in the total amount not to exceed $137,032.50 for records management software for the Little Rock Fire Department. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid and to authorize the city manager to enter into a 5-year contract with Priority Dispatch Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $616,260 plus applicable taxes and fees for a call handling software system and software maintenance for the Department of Emergency Communications, to declare an emergency. An ordinance to dispense with the requirement of competitive selection and to authorize the city manager to enter a memorandum of understanding with the Little Rock School District in a total amount of $75,000 for a 2-year pilot program in order to expand East Lab programming to Mapleville Elementary, Stevens Elementary, and Washington Elementary Community Schools as endorsed by the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families. An ordinance to condemn certain structures in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas as structural fire and health hazards, to provide for summary abatement procedures, to direct city staff to take such action as is necessary to raise and remove said structures, to declare an emergency. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to ratify an agreement that was carried out in 2021, to authorize the city manager to extend for an additional 1 year a sole source agreement with City Year Incorporated and the City Year AmeriCorps members in amount not to exceed $100,000 relative to the city's educational initiative for use by the Little Rock School District, to declare an emergency. Third and final reading.
We've now had 3 readings. Director Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we vote, could I ask Mr. Collins a question about 2 of these items?
Yes, ma'am. Director Collins, if you would approach the podium.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. We're getting short-term rentals back on the agenda, and I thought we were supposed to have a short-term rental ordinance that was coming to the board. We're also starting to hear from various neighborhoods about short-term rentals in general. And could you tell me when we're going to be seeing the ordinance come before us for a vote?
Yes, the timing is this July, the Planning Commission, which is the second Thursday of the month, that we will meet and go over the draft ordinance, which is, for everybody in the public and the board members, is online currently underneath our web page at the City of Little Rock website, littlerock.gov. And it currently has comments received, comments by also the planning commissioners on what they would like to see the ordinance to be. It's a draft. And so we will meet at the Planning Commission in July. And if they act on it at that meeting, then we will present it at, looks like maybe the first week in August. I'd have to get available with the city manager to see what the schedule is and the timing, but it would be that August timeframe. If the planning commission chooses to defer it one more, depends on the amount of people that comes to the meeting and raises questions, they could request another revision or draft to that ordinance, and then we would push that out to the August meeting, which means the board would potentially hear it in September. I don't hear any rumors right now from the commissioners about wanting to push it out past July and hear it. So I'm hoping that we will have the final recommendation from the planning commission in July. And so that is the timing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Adcock.
Yes. Mr. Collins, I heard your explanation, and I've seen a draft of this at the land bank. So why are we looking at two of these right now before we get the plan that you have developed?
Well, currently, there is not a moratorium set by the board for short-term rentals, and we process them when we receive zoning applications. We are obliged by state law to do so. We do not have a reason to defer them. But for these, the ones that is being heard, they are being heard as a planned development. So that is our current process for what would be considered a non-owner occupied state. They don't live at the address to come before the board. So that is the longest process that we have for short-term rentals at this time and to be proposed. And so any short-term rental is heard at that process right now for planned development.
Why did we not hold these over until we get our plan developed? I can't understand why we're looking at these two tonight when you're telling us that you're developing a whole plan on how to address these. So my thought would have been to hold these until we got the plan worked out.
I understand what your statement is, and the ordinance is more of a process and enforcement. It is not a recommendation of short-term rentals. Each site will stand on its own, whether it's an owner-occupied short-term rental or non-owner-occupied short-term rental, before or after if the ordinance is passed, it's coming before you, hopefully in August, on short-term rentals. It is just a regulatory ordinance. It is setting what types there are, the process to review under, and then enforcement upon it to allow us to go inspect those properties. So that's what this ordinance is. It's not a recommendation for or against any short-term rental.
Okay, if we voted these no today, could they come back up whenever you have your new ordinance worked out?
They have to be, they cannot come back for the board for 1 year if denied on a planned development unless it is a substantial change. It cannot be identical or substantially identical. So in my opinion, it would be no, it'd be a year. They'd have to change what type of short-term rental they're looking to be for it to be enough that would be deemed different.
Mayor, do we have anyone here tonight to speak in opposition to these?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Director Phillips.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mayor. In light of Director Adcock's questions, Director Collins, I just want to make sure that I'm clear. The proposal from your department is not to recommend that we do not have short-term rentals in the city of Little Rock, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you so much. We've had 3 readings. Any more questions from members of the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay on item 19 and 20, and aye on the rest of them. Thank you.
Aye. Yes, ma'am. Ayes have it. We also have emergency clause for items 24, 26, and 27. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. We'll now go to, I believe we've gone through them all. 28, thank you.
29.
Withdraw.
The 28 was withdrawn line. 29, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Baseline Road Shopping Center, PCD, located at the southwest corner of Baseline Road and Rec Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, first reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on second reading.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have a second reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development to establish a planned commercial district titled Baseline Road Shopping Center, PCD, located at the southwest corner of Baseline Road and Rec Road, second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Baseline Road Shopping Center, PCD, located at the southwest corner of Baseline Road and Rec Road, third and final reading.
We've now had 3 readings. I see a question from Director Peck. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it. Before we go into executive session, Director Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we go into executive session, could you give us an update on the Lit Fest? Have people asking about it, and I just would like to be able to, is there a date, or have we signed a contract? Can you just give us this update?
Yes, there's been a signed contract. They're working towards the date, and as I shared with Director Computers, once we get a detailed update, we'll come before the board with that update.
Okay, thank you.
There's no more information outside of that.
Okay.
Director Adcock.
Yes. Mayor, since we have so many people here evidently for citizen communication, could we switch the executive session and citizen communication so they do not have to stay here all afternoon?
Sure thing. That's okay with the board. I will switch.
I'm by me, Mayor.
All right.
Great suggestion. I agree.
All right. Mr. Clarence Elliott.
Good evening, Mayor, the boards. I work for the City of Little Rock. I'm part of the union at the City of Little Rock, 994. And my concern is, and my question is, I've talked with the director of street department about this temperature that the employees are working in. They say 105 is when they bring them in now, and I made my suggestion to them that even at a prison, which I worked at before, they bring them in at 100. So why are our people still staying out here in this temperature before they get messed around and have heat strokes? So, I'm bringing it to the board to see if we can get this temperature changed, bring it down to a reasonable temperature for our people that works out here at the city. And another thing we brought, because I am part of the union, we have a situation with these boots that we had, which I reached out to Mr. Moore. He asked for it to be solved. It never was. But we have boot people asking our people whether they're union or non-union. If they're non-union, they got to pay for their boots up front. If they're union, well, if they're non-union, they can put it on the payroll, but non-union members have to pay up front, which I feel is very anti-union wise. And then I also got them telling the people to get out the union. We can't even ask people as the union members whether they're in the union or not. So I feel very, very offensive, very racial towards the union, that we got other people asking them this question and telling them to get up out of something that's helping. So these are my concerns I'm bringing before the board, and I'm needing the board to look into these things.
Thank you so much, Mr. Elliott. Mr. John E. Banks.
My name is Johnny Banks. I work for the city in traffic engineering. I'm also the vice president of the union. And tonight, and anytime I go to talk for the union, I'm always asked, is this your concern or is this the union's concern? Well, tonight, I'm here for my concerns. Over the last 4 years, we have seen a widespread racism to sweep across all departments of the union. We've also been lied to and told that certain things would happen, but they never happen. Anytime we go to sit before anybody, whether it's John Honeywell or the mayor or anything, we always get told we're working on it or give us time. It's been 4 years and we are tired. I am tired. This is the capital city of Arkansas. We should have one of the best work environments ever, but it's just the opposite. It's never gone uphill. It's only going downhill. And for me, I get tired of people calling, saying this, this, and this. Would you fight for this, this, and this? I put my boxing gloves on, I lace my boots up, and we go and we fight, and we fight, and we fight, and we fight, and we fight. And nothing ever gets done. I come to the board today to ask that we can solve some of these things, that the things that have been plaguing us, the things that we have faced, I mean from racism down to wages, that we can come together and that we can get these things done so that when we go to work in the morning, we want to get up and go to work, not that we have to go to work. And that's where we are today. We just ask that the board can do something to make our work life and our personal life better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. We'll now have Mr. Kobe Knight.
All right. I am Kobe Knight, assistant head coach of the Sunset Tiger Youth Football Team, which resides in Southside Park. And I would like to thank every last one of you board members for voting for those lights for us. But we have other concerns that we need addressed too. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Sunset Park or Southside Park, but the playground there is an issue that we want to deal with, and the parking lot. The playground at Southside Park has not, that playground that is there was put there in 1999. That's 23 years old. And as for the program of the Sunset Tigers, if any of you don't know, it is a very historical program. We're going on 51 years. We put out over 35 professional athletes. Coach Ed Johnson got the Martin Luther King Award, the Black History Person of the Month, all those things. And like I say, once again, I would like to thank Leland Couch and Director Miller, who's not here, on working with us hand in hand on the park. But if we're gonna get new lights that y'all approve, what it's gonna look like when the lights shine down on the parking lot that's 23 years old. The first kids that played on that parking lot have graduated college now, if they went to school. Like I said, thank y'all for y'all time. And like I said, there's issues with the parking lot too. But thank you all for y'all time. And
Thank you, Mr. Knight. I do appreciate you. Members of the board, do we have a motion to go in executive session?
Second.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. We'll go into executive session. back into session. Here to report on our executive session for boards and commissions. We'll first start with the Arkansas Museum for Fine Art. Jacqueline Retzer, Bo Blair, Steve Ronell, Derek Smith. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Well, also just for, I'm now looking, these are for the trustees, so we're fine. For Age Friendly Commission, Sally Fitz and Karen Guthrie. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. For the CYF, Beth Quarles. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. For the CHAB Board, Community Housing Advisory Board, Russell Williams III, Denise White, Taiwan Haney. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. For the Land Bank, Katrina Smith, Tavonia Strickland. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Parks and Recreation, Robin Nocier. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Sustainability Commission, Andrew Vogler, Rachel Kottner. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. MacArthur Commission, Dorothy Webb McIntosh. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Sister Cities Commission, Ben Walters. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Carla Coleman, we are making a exception for her several terms in the wake of some transitions at Oaklawn Cemetery. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. We'll now go forward. Ernest Mox, Janine Campiris Spencer, Roy Watts, and Linda. Linda Howley, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. We have a motion to adjourn. There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.